Hey everyone! So today I thought to myself, let's do another Photoshop tutorial for beginners. And this one revolves around how we can take a normal scene like this, a bridge basically in the snow, and you have the mountainside right there. We're going to place a man on that bridge, and we're going to replace the sky to a night sky with a bit of purple, and transform this entire image into a night scene with a bit of this hue and light coming from the moonlight and the stars that gives you that purplish little haze all around using adjustment layers. So let's get started. The first step is I need to transform my lock layer into an actual layer. I'm going to call this bridge. Next, we have to get the man into our new scene. So I'm going to use a quick selection tool. And today we're going to learn also a new technique on how to use refine edge to be able to get those little trees on the side. My brush is a bit too big. There we go, it's a little bit better. So if I go overboard, I can press Alt and remove that little section I got. There we go, much better. Grab him and let's take him to the new scene right here. So I'm going to scale him, Control T to transform. Scale with pressing Shift on the keyboard, because if you don't press Shift, basically this happens. You can make him super weird. So Shift keeps every single thing uniform. There we go. Next we have to remove this entire haze of the background. So I have to select my bridge layer right here, so I can start working on this. And this is where the refine edge will work. So I have quick selection tool activated. Let me scale it up a little bit. Good. And this is where refine edge will happen. So once I select the entire area, so if I remove the background right now, if I just press delete, it's going to go away completely, but that's not what I want. I actually want the trees and the leaves and all of that to actually stay. How to fix that? I go to refine edge. My first step is I have to make sure that it is on overlay. So right here, overlay. Once I click on this little box, I have marching ants, overlay on black, all of that. Overlay helps a lot. Next, I'm gonna select with my brush the areas I want. So I'm just gonna paint over here. It's gonna go red. Select over here, it's gonna go red without taking the sky. It understands the difference of contrast between the trees and the actual sky. So just paint, and it'll take all this information. Now, something bad will happen here. If I press OK, just like normally, it will select exactly what I selected, all those little pieces. And if I press on a mask on the bottom right, and I invert this mask, you'll see that the effect is not that great. It's very transparent and translucent, which is not technically what we're looking for here. So how do I select again what I did? Over here, on my mask, I can press Control and I get this little icon right here. This will allow me to select whatever the mask has selected in white. Okay, so if I see here, it's selecting everything I have in white. I can go back to Refine Edge while the Quick Selection tool is activated, and I can change a little bit of the contrast here. Just slightly, let's see a bit more. And the smooth, just a little. Let's see now. Should be a lot better. I'm gonna paint in black, sorry, in white, whatever I want to keep. Let me make sure that my brush opacity is 100%. There we go. So I want to keep all this detail. Control D, there we go, much better. Small little deformities here and there, but it's fine. We can fix that with the background and the entire composition itself. So right now, this is what I have. Perfect. Go to my sky layer. I'm going to grab it with my rectangular marquee tool. Take it all. Bridge, put it somewhere on the side here. Control T and scale it up and put it all the way to the bottom so I can see the sky. Now, let me actually move it up a little bit. I like to have the small little purple haze coming out. That's great, right there. Alright. Next, I need to kind of find the direction of where, let's say, the moonlight will shine. So I'm going to take it from the right side all the way to here. So shadows are going to pop that way. Okay? From the right to the left. So let's start darkening up this image a little bit. So I'm going to take the bridge. I'm going to go bottom right, adjustment layer, levels. And let me just start darkening up this entire scene. So just play with the levels, with the curves here, until you get something like this. Now it's a little bit too harsh, so what I'm gonna do is invert this mask, take my brush tool, and paint in white with a bit of a 50% to 40% opacity. That way I can dictate, the brush is very harsh, and make sure that you are using a soft brush, so hardness 0%. That way I can actually dictate where I want the darkness to show. So what I'm doing right now is actually painting on top of that mask layer. So the man himself, we're going to be transforming a little bit later, so right now I'm focusing on everything around it. Sorry about the clicking, it's actually my Wacom, so it's going to be a bit annoying. Sorry about that. Dark spots on the sky. Right here. Alright. Next, let's focus on the man. If I want a adjustment layer, so let's say a brightness, just like that. Alright? For an example. If I want this brightness adjustment layer to only affect this layer, which is the man, let me just call it man right here. I need to select the brightness contrast, press Alt on my keyboard, and once I move my mouse down, you can see there's an icon that pops up. This is basically a dependency. You're telling this exact layer to only affect this layer and not all of them. Remember, in Photoshop, the top layer takes priority on every single other picture. So if I remove it, it's affecting everything. If I click Alt on that single line, it will only affect the man. So now we can actually adjust a little bit of the man here. Make it a little bit darker because I'm going to use my highlights to be able to get the information out. There we go. So now I'm able to take the actual man and use something here, which is called highlight. Dodge tool. Dodge tool allows me to create areas of height and exposure. So since I want the moonlight to show from here to here, I'm going to be highlighting only half of the character. Just like so. And I want to burn, which is basically creating a shadow on the other side. Just a little bit. So here I could actually add a bit of more dodge on that leg, just single-handedly on that leg. Just to give that effect. A bit on the shoe. There we go. That way you can feel like the light is hitting half of it. Now on the burn tool, it's a little bit too harsh on the backpack, so let me just decrease it a little bit. Perfect. Now I want to add a shadow. So to add a shadow of the man, you can duplicate it. So just right click on the layer. Duplicate that layer, sorry. Control T to copy it, transform it, and rotate it that way. Move the man in position. There we go. Press enter. Control click on the actual image will help me to select it, and I'm gonna paint in black. Oops, remove them a bit too much here. There we go. Alright, and now what I'm gonna do is actually blur this and start removing some information here. So mask it, and I'm gonna start painting in white with a bit of an opacity, just so I can remove a bit of the effect. Don't want it to be that harsh. There we go. And make sure this is completely blurred. So I can do a blur tool here. Blur tool. Make sure that the strength is perfect at 100%. And start blurring the actual layer. I can also go to, where was it? I completely forgot where the blur was. There we go. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur works the best, honestly, for me. There we go. So let me just blur it out. There we go, and I'm just going to move it a little bit to the side. There we go. So now I have a bit of a shadow dropping in over here. Next, I want a bit of color. So hue saturation, and I want that purple color right there. Purple blue. Great. Control I to invert the mask, and I'm just going to paint in white with a bit of an opacity, a little bit of purple. It's a bit too strong. Let me actually drop down to like around 7%. Yeah, it's a little bit better. On the man himself, on the bridge, on the water, on the shrubs. There we go. So originally we had a normal bridge with its background, and now we had everything together. So with any of the adjustment layers, we have just like that. Works pretty well. Now I want to increase the highlight of the actual sky, so I can do an exposure here. Control I as well, and start painting a little bit of those highlights. Just taking half of it, just because the strength of the moonlight is stronger here than here. Just half of it right there. There we go. Now these are really bothering me, honestly, the trees. They're kind of ruining everything for me. So let me zoom in here. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So let's try to adjust this a little bit more. Quick selection tool, refine edge. Let me try to fix this up. Alright, let's see. Well, it's pretty much remembering the settings I had before. Let's see now. Alright, let's actually work on it from this perspective. Just gonna paint in black. Try to get as much information as I can out of this. This is too much. Like, this blurriness right here is really bad. Alright. So if you notice, I'm removing that little gray area that you're seeing, which gives you that haze that we don't want. Let me increase the opacity here by a lot, just so I can get all of this information out. There we go. So what I'm doing just right now is just cleaning up a little bit. A little bit better. I still have a bit on the trees. So Alt click. Let me remove a little bit more of that haze. A little bit better. I'm just giving it a try here just to see how it's gonna look. Let me see first. A lot better. Okay, I feel much better about that one. Alright, so the highlights on this character are a bit too strong. So let's get the burn tool. Let's remove a little bit of this. There we go. Bridge. No, very bad. So right now I'm just experimenting a little bit of how it's gonna look, but I guess this is pretty fine. Alright, so thank you for joining me. It's just a small little demonstration of how to use the actual Refine Etch tool, how to use the certain adjustment layers, and how to work with the mask, and how to brush on top of them. So hope you enjoyed this. If you like the content and everything, just please leave a comment, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you want, and please like and subscribe the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.